Episode 10. Weather's cleared up, and we've wrapped up our quest in Ul'dah. At the beckoning of those fireworks, I think I'll try to see if I can find that quest giver for the Rising event. Thematically appropriate considering Komori's a pretty much new adventurer. But before we can do that, we'll have to make sure we get all of our Ethernet connections. Filament is actually my main hub on my main character, because I have an apartment in this area. Which means I should know where all the Ethernet locations are, but I'll probably miss one or two. Looks like a new player joining the Arcanist Guild, or progressing the Arcanist questline there. One more in this area, and we'll check the other places. Never noticed. My crystal serves as a lighthouse. All this time that I've been playing the game, I never really looked at the skybox to notice that. I guess that's one good reason to replay the game like I am now. Appreciate the smaller things, or the huge glaring things in your face that you never noticed. Now, the Rising event is meant to be a kind of anniversary celebration for the re-release of the game. Thematically right now, it may not actually fit too well. Even though it is about new adventurers, it seems more celebratory than solemn, considering that our current quest is to mourn the dead from the event 5 years ago. I'm actually wondering how this quest will play out for the seasonal event, considering the quest giver is probably going to be talking all about how joyous an occasion this is. Looks like 3 connections in this area. And here we are, the seasonal quest. Greetings, friend. By your dauntless bearing, I assume you're an adventurer, and come at precisely the moment I find myself in need of an adventurer's aid. Might I beg yours? My thanks. The matter is this. I have been approached by a lady named Ioyo, who wishes to imprint her own inimitable mark upon the skies above Limsa. I speak, of course, of the fireworks that illumine these rising nights. Learning of my contribution to previous year's festivities, she has enlisted me to her cause. We already have the ear of the organizing committee. However, Lady Ioyo has expressed a strong desire to consult with a storied adventurer before finalizing her proposal, so someone completely other than us. Come to the Yellow Jackets guardhouse at the base of the Coral Tower, and I will introduce you. I suppose these quests are really mainly for people that have already gotten through a lot of the game. I'm wondering if we can see the... there it is. The Aetheryte Plaza. With how these cities are divided into two separate areas, I often lose track of where one place is from another when transitioning between areas. So I like to get a better grasp of the layout now that I'm playing on a second character and taking things in a bit more freshly. This is rather convenient. Our quest for the Aethernet shards is leading us right in the direction of the seasonal quest. Unless I missed one, this should be the last one. Am I missing something? I must be blind because I don't see where this quest needs to be turned in. Yo-yo. Is it on a lower level? No, it should be here. Well, I suppose I'll come back later. Or it is on a lower level. And that's the first test for a new adventurer, figuring out how the map works. Lady Ioyo, one-storied adventurer, thereabouts as promised. Lessons of the 12 upon you. Name's Ayerio, Cannoneer First Class with the Yellow Jackets. It's an honor to have you on board. She probably has more adventuring stories than we do. Did I mention that it is the Yellow Jackets who are in charge of this year's festivities? Not only in decorating these fair elements in streets, but in designing and constructing the fireworks that brighten the skies above them. Lady Ayoyo here is quite the savant in all matters incendiary and explosive, and so it has fallen to her to formulate a plan for the display's crowning glory. Me and the other lads and lassies of the Cannoneers whipped up a load of loverly little drakes, snakes, and devils for the Moonfire Fair. But more of the same ain't going to cut it for the Rising. 'Cause it's all about remembering those we lost in the calamity, ain't it? Them and theirs deserve something a mite specialer than a bunch of old bangers. An admirable sentiment, to be sure. It would not do for our ode to such poignant memories to be aught less than memorable. Let us make this year's Rising one that the citizens of this fair realm will not soon forget. Took the words right out of me mouth, dearie. Thing is, I haven't hardly set foot out in Limsa in all me days. I don't reckon I'm best placed to know what's going through the minds of the citizens of this fair realm. And so you would pick an adventurer's brains. One who has journeyed far and wide across this land we love, and knows its people intimately. Yes, that's us. Yet before we call upon your particular wisdom, mayhap it would behoove us to seek out a wider range of opinions. Many and more look to the skies come rising night, and the thoughts that run through their minds are no doubt diverse. Let us learn them. Sounds like a plan. Mind if I join you, dearie? Could do with learning some of these thoughts myself. Right then. Where's best to start asking round? Some place a lot of outsiders gather, I reckon. How about we meet in the Aetherate Plaza, down in the lower decks? While you two are so engaged, allow me to continue our discussions with the organizing committee. I shall await you by the aft castle. You see them lights down in Ocker's Alley, dearie? Decorations for the festival they are. Every year, when the streets are all decked out for the Rising, the art fills with, well, all kinds of feelings. Sorrow, pride, regret. But enough about me. We came here to find out how the other folks feel about it. Let's split up down the alley and ask a few likely-looking customers each. We're on a schedule here, so don't go asking every single soul you see. 4 or 5 should do you. I'll meet you down by the ferry docks when you're done. It's convenient we're getting stories from other people. I don't think this quest would have held up if Komori had to tell tales of her own deeds. Welcome, welcome. What may I interest you in this fine evening? Ah, information, is it? Well, if you really must know, the whistling and banging that fills the air this season always takes me back to the time just before the calamity struck. A great festival was held to celebrate the reformation of the grand companies. People in the streets were hooting, hollering, and setting off fire spouts. And all the ships in the bay, now bedecked in maelstrom colors, let loose their cannons. It seems so foolish now, knowing that what was soon to befall us. But all that noise served a purpose nonetheless, drowning out the fear that ever whispered into our ears. It is my firm belief that the rising fireworks serve the same purpose, even now. They present a vision of loveliness, of togetherness, that we might forget our fears and be given hope for a brighter future. The streets are full of life, the sky full of fire, and the westerly winds fill in our seafarers' sails as it does our hearts. I couldn't have picked a better time to come home. You a sailor too, are you? Helping with the fireworks, you say? Good on you, lass. Aye, I've a few memories of back then, if you ever near to hear 'em. I'm a merchant seaman, you see, always sailing hither and thither across the waves. Was just back from a trip to Radsat Han when the calamity struck. Everyone was looking up to the sky, and that loathsome lantern that hung low in it. Like most folk, I don't remember much of what happened in the days before or after it fell, but I'll never forget those faces. And that's what I love so much about the fireworks. You see the same faces looking up, but this time with a smile. Reminds you not only of the bad times, but how we got over them. Can you see them too, my love? You're involved with the fireworks, and want to know what I think of them? Well, just now I was wondering if they can be seen from far out in the offing. Do you know? I see. The reason I ask is that my husband is out there now. He meant to be back by rising night, but it seems the tide didn't turn in his favor. He was so looking forward to the fireworks. I do hope that he can see them from where he is, that we can share them together, no matter how far apart we might be. That is my only request to you, that you make the finale as bright and boisterous as you can, that all those who cannot be together this rising might still share in its message. There are many like me who cannot be with their loved ones this rising, whether by chance or by tragedy. It is the fireworks that bring them together, so the louder and brighter they are, the better. Alright there, anything I can do for you? You're asking for people's thoughts on the rising fireworks. Heh, you adventurers don't half pick up some hot jobs. Well, I'm like most people, I suppose. I think of those I lost. My parents most of all. I wonder if they're watching too. Swum up from the bottom of the ethereal sea to see what all the crashing and banging's about. It's complicated, I suppose. I feel sad they're gone, but happy I'm not. And grateful to Batteron for saving me and so many others. If they are watching, I hope they can see me too. See that I'm doing all right for myself, that they might sleep soundly for another 12 months. I didn't learn this till long after he'd taken me in, but after the calamity, Badarin banded together with some old allies from his mercenary days, and a few willing adventurers. They'd go around seeking out people like me who'd lost everything, and try to put them back on their feet. It just made this job easier. Oh, I just made his job easier, drinking myself stupid and puking my guts out in his gutter. Maybe I should get him a little something by way of thanks. That's a name to remember, Badarin. How do they maintain that lighthouse? I don't see any bridges connecting to it. Although, if it's just a giant rock, then maybe they don't need to maintain it. Sorry to keep you waiting, dearie. But what did you find out? Same here. Was half expecting them to just like looking at the pretty lights, but it seems the feeling runs a lot deeper than that. The memories of the calamity still sit heavy on their hearts, but the rise in fireworks go some way to lift them that way. So, any ideas for the grand display? What kind of thing do you reckon would help lift their spirits the most? Some of these are more, perhaps, profound than others, but we'll go with the grand and flashy option for that one woman that asked for it. That'd do the job alright. Ain't a lamentin' among us who ain't got a drop of pirate blood in her veins. Lighting up the skies with Buccaneer and Abandon would be just the way to put out our own stamp on this year's festival. The Rising ain't just about mourning those we lost after all. It's about remembering the struggles of those who survived, to steer us to a brighter future. Aye, that's it. That's what Limson needs this Rising. Ships, cannons, a departure salute, not just for the fallen, but for those setting sail for unknown shores. A vision of the past and of the future. An old beaten armada filling Galadian Bay, lighting up the very heavens. Who wouldn't want to watch that? That's settled then. The minstrel's gonna love it. He said he'd be up by the aft castle, right? I'll see you there. Speaking of flashy, I was just thinking that Komori's own appearance could do with a little update. Think we'll think about that after this quest. Let's see now. 1,500 weight of fire sand at 500 yalms from shore. Reckon we're going to need more ships. Our intrepid adventurer returns, and positively bursting with inspiration, I take it. I see. A traditional seafaring salute, not only to the memories of the fallen, but to the future fortune of those who follow in their wake. A most fitting proposal, I'm sure. Thanks, both of you. But our work ain't done yet. There's a lot needs sorting out before we can put this idea into action. So much to do, so little time. If you wouldn't mind helping us a little longer, dearie, I'd be forever in your debt. Let me know when you've got your loins good and girded? A display of such grandeur is not merely a matter of crafting the fireworks proper. We shall require the cooperation of a great many people, several of whom may be less than disposed to offer it. A Kryl minion. Character we haven't met yet. Won't meet for a long time. Right then, let's get started, shall we, dearie? The plan is we're going to line up an old fleet. We're going to line up an old fleet of ships across the bay and have them fire a broadside into the sky. But before we go about finding our fleet, we need to get the plan approved by the organizing committee. And that means convincing Commodore Rayner. I'll take the lead, but I ain't exactly got the silverest tongue, nor much experience nobbling up with the higher-ups. If you two see me struggling, put in a word, won't you? Of course, milady. Your cause is ours. Thank you, Medeus. Together, then, to the Coral Tower. You know, I never looked up there to realize that the airship landing is right there. I find that often gamers don't look up at all in general. They're mostly staring at the ground, especially in this game where all of the danger is telegraphed on the ground. Commodore Rayner worked his way up the ranks, and all the way from rock bottom to the tippity top. He knows the workings of the thalassocracy in and out. So any flaws in our proposal, and he'll see right through them. Last I had the privilege of meeting with the Commodore was around the time of the Calamity. I had been arrested for conspiracy to incite rebellion. Naturally, it was all a misunderstanding. Some other scurrilous soul had been singing songs of sedition. If not for Rayner and his relentless pursuit of the truth, I might still be lingering in the brig. He is a shrewd investigator who will brook no equivocation. Shall we then? Wanting to make the rising display special I can fathom, but the sheer scale of this proposal is beyond anything I imagined. Ayoyo, need I remind you that the first duty of the Yellow Jackets is keeping the peace? Filling the bay with ships will not only disturb the daily workings of the harbor, but it is sure to foment agitation among the commons. Knowing this, do you still mean to persevere with this outlandish plan? I do, Commander. Every Laminsan art, every Eorzean art, still bears the scars of the calamity. All that loss, that hardship, that struggle, it cut deep. But the Rising ain't just about looking to the past. It's about looking to the future, too. And if it's our duty to watch over the folk, keep 'em on the straight and narrow like, I reckon it's our duty to see 'em off on another year's journey, too. Well put. I accept that your intentions are pure. What of the logistics? I trust you have a plan as to who exactly will be providing and paying for this fleet of yours. Yes, Commander. We're going to petition the Maelstrom for the flagships and the rest from, the Black Sails. Of course. One is wont to forget that those buccaneering souls remain bound to serve the Maelstrom in times of necessity. Lady Ioyo would have us parley with the 3 great pirate captains and remind them of their civic duty, it seems. Aye, that's right. The pirates answered the Admiral's call back when the moon was fallen. Fought and died at Carteneau, same as the rest of us. When they hear about our plan to salute all those who fell, and all those who didn't, I don't doubt they'll answer the call again. I wish you all the luck in the world in recruiting those rogues to your cause. You shall need it. Very well then. Allow me to arrange the parley. Should you succeed in this feat, you may consider all of my remaining doubts answered. I bid you remember that you go to speak with pirates, lawless marauders all. Pray that you do not say aught to offend them, lest we find ourselves with a mutiny on our hands. I shall have the Maelstrom summon the leaders of the 3 factions to the anchor yard. Pray go there and complete your preparations. This quest is interesting in that we're meeting some of these pirate factions before we have any dealings with them in the main quest. I'm sure it's written in such a way that won't interfere with that, presumably. After all, you can't take this as a level 15 adventurer, like I am now. We are to parley with pirates. Truly, life is but a succession of unexpected events. Cheers for sticking with me, you two. I hope I can count on your support in the next set of negotiations and all. Of course, my lady. Alas, I fear the captains and those far-famed scourges of the seas will prove rather less biddable partners than Commodore Raynor did. While Roswen of the Sanguine Sirens may be swayed by emotion, Carvalane of the Kraken's Arms is of a much more mercenary mind. The executioners, meanwhile, value honor and glory above all else. If there is aught that unites them, it is a zealous spirit. Let us argue with passion that we might inflame their hearts. If it's passion you're after, I've got that in bleeding bucket loads. But I might need you two to jump in again, in case me tongue decides to tie itself in an itch. Just say the first thing that comes into your heads, and I'll pick up after. Come on then, dearies. Let's head over to Anchor Yard and get this parley started. This would be one of the less frequently attended corners of Limsa. Nothing out here but quest objectives, I imagine. And these people. Thanks for coming. The reason we asked you here is... Aye, the Maelstrom summons laid it out for us loud and clear. You want us to help with your Ryzen fireworks. And the answer is no. When my sirens fire a broadside, it's to send our enemies to the bottom of the briny, not to paint pretty pictures in the sky for drylanders to gawp at. We've got better things to be doing with our time. It is a rare occurrence, to be sure, but I find that my opinion aligns with Rothwin's. Our time is precious, and I'm sure yours is. Let us hasten to draw these discussions to a close. I shall put it bluntly. I see no profit in this endeavor for myself and my men, so unless there is anything else... No profit? How sad that the great Carvalane should lose his nose for coin. You would put the Admiral and the Yellow Jackets in your debt. Why, it is the perfect opportunity to forge a deeper bond with Rothwin. I think there are answers that would probably be more in character, but for anyone in the know, these two characters are, well, they've had an on and off relationship for years now, probably told only in story events like this, or rather, seasonal events, just as a kind of side story. So I'm going to pick this option to see how that might progress, if at all. If you should require my men and I to shackle ourselves to the sirens, we should require an even greater recompense. The sheer scale of the spectacle we propose would no doubt draw all of the lords and ladies of the realm together in the city, personages of high renown and deep pockets. Aye, and if they saw you lot working and me... Oh. Aye, and if they saw you lot working and... Oh, and... Aye, and if they saw you lot working hand in hand with the Maelstrom, it'd do wonders for your public image. Folks who normally wouldn't touch a pirate with a barge pole would be queuing up to do business with you. I do believe you have a point, poorly phrased as though it might be. To win legitimate business, one must project the image of a legitimate businessman. Sod your image, and sod anyone who's too lily-livered to trade with us. They can stick their barge poles up their backsides. What's in it for the sirens? If you won't consider them customers, consider them quarry. Don't you want to bring joy to the masses? And of course, the option we're going to pick, Carvalane's in. Don't you want to be together? I'm sure he has no idea what we're talking about. Whoa. What are you trying to imply? I'd rather cut me arse off with a rusty cutlass than have to spend another minute in that preen and pissant's company. Me and my girls are proper pirates. Sanguine sirens ain't all about pirating life though, are they? You run almhouses for the sick and injured, and those with child, keeping themselves busy with odd jobs, such as coming their way. Them's your hunters, and the folk who are drawn to the city and hunters. Oh, hunters. Them's your hunters, and the folk who are drawn to the city to see the grand display, your quarry. I see where you're going with this. Get the girls to set up the stall selling food and grog and all like, and they'd make a killin', providing they had all the right permits from the Yellow Jackets. You're a shrewd one, you. Maybe I could lend them an hand myself. They do say the best way to a man's heart is to his stomach. What of the executioners? There is no dishonor in linking arms with Admiral Merliweb of the Maelstrom, surely. You, Yellow Jacket, I want you to tell me one thing and tell it true. This is Limsa, the greatest port in all the realm. You could find this fleet of yours without our help, yet you've come here begging for it. Why? Because I reckon you're the ones who need the rising the most. The black sails only came together because of Cardinal. You could have upped anchor and sailed off into the sunset. But no. You fought like demons on those cursed flats. Made heroes of yourselves and martyrs. The way I see it, it's only right that those that lost the most, when they stood to gain the least, should be the ones to fire the salute to the departed. And a salute to the departed, too. The calamity changed the lives of you pirates more than anyone. If anyone should be celebrating new beginnings, it's those whose new beginnings have already begun. So it's all for our own good, is it? I'm heading back to the Astalicia. Send word when you've hammered out the details of that display of yours. We'll see what we can do. Aye, aye, Captain. Can't rightly say no to you, now can I? We lost a lot of good people back in Cartano. Let's send them all off with a bloody great bang. I will join you on one condition. That in your reminiscence of trauma past, you do not make a shameful spectacle of yourself. Pray do not force me to restrain you again. I never forced you to do nothing. You'll keep your hands off me, if you want to keep 'em, you randy bastard. Quite the fragile flower, isn't she? Well then, I bid you adieu. My ships will not ready themselves. Something about the way that the pirates talk in Limsa here. It's a little bit hard for me to read. Just omit one letter and I find myself lost. My hearty congratulations to both of you. It was my honor to play as a supporting part, but it was your passion for the Rising that swayed them. And breathe. Gods, I was so nervous I could hardly speak, you and me both. Thanks so much for chipping in when you did. Could have never have gotten them on our side without you. Right then, time to put the finishing touches on that plan of mine. It's going to be wonderful, I just know it. Oh, and about your reward. I've given it to the minstrel. You can grab it from him. To new beginnings, lass, and may the navigator's breath ever fill your sails. You did a great service, my friend, both for Lady Ioyo and for all those who love the Rising, myself included. For that, I shall be ever grateful. I expect it shall still be some hours before the preparations for the grand finale are complete. Mayhap we could wait together? While we wait, would you care to hear a verse that has lately come to me? It is a song of celebration, of encouragement, for all those who sail to unknown shores. Pray, lend me your ears. Greetings, warrior of light. This is a world that exists outside of your reality. Could it be a dream? A flight of fancy conjured by your weary mind? Perhaps, or perhaps not. "'Tis a pleasure to make your acquaintance. My name is Naoki Yoshida, and I have beckoned you here that I might express my gratitude. The road we have walked has been long and winding, full of perils and pitfalls, but we have enjoyed every step in your company. We hope that you feel the same about this last great leap. With every adventure we undertake, the longer the legacy we leave behind us. Yet a lengthy history need not mean a foreshortened future. Many adventurers yet await. We shall continue to chart a course into the great unknown, one that takes in all the diverse wonders this wide world has to offer, that your legacy might grow ever greater. To be certain, it would be a less trying task to sleepwalk ever onward down the same well-furrowed path. Yet to venture down paths untrodden, believing in the bright and glorious future that lies beyond them, is by far the more rewarding. This is the gift that we wish to deliver upon you, the gift of adventure. And we pray, with all our hearts, that you will continue to walk with us. We thank you for joining us on this journey, heretofore and hereafter. Now, the time has come for this vision to end. Time for your eyes to open from this waking dream. One cannot know what fills the hearts and minds of those who look to the sky this rising night. Perhaps you and I will see very different images in those explosions of light and color. But one thing I know for certain, that right here, right now, we look to the same sky. And though the paths that lay ahead of us may lead in very different directions, sometime, someplace, they shall cross again. "'Tis almost time for the display to begin. The consummation of not only our labors, but the thoughts and prayers of the people of this fair city. A salute for the departed, and for those who set sail into unknown waters. Many adventures yet await you, my friend. May the navigator's breath ever fill your sails." From eastern sea to eastern sky, the sacred sun ascends, and voices stir of wind, of waves, of ropes, of sails, of friends. Who, like the golden light of dawn that streams across the sea, set sunlit sail for foreign lands, may fortune follow thee. Her journey done, so sinks the sun below the western waves, and memories stir of friends of yore asleep in watery graves. Let not our voices raised in song disturb your endless sleep, but join us in our chorus, and you dream among the deep. An excerpt from an ancient mariner's song, a prayer for the safe return of those who sail o'er the far horizon, and for the peace of those who sleep beneath those same eternal waves. It concludes with a wish that the voices of those whose spirits are stirred in anticipation of new adventure reach the ears of those whose adventures ended too soon, that they might be united as one, a fitting sentiment for the rising, methinks. And so I offer you my own heartfelt wish, that even should your adventures carry you beyond the far-flung horizon of this wide world, we should meet once more in a 12 months' time, and look up to the same sky together. It was quite a pretty display. Toy Chest allows you to replay certain minigames. What is this? First we'll unlock this. You hear footsteps approaching, you turn and see. Ah, I see. As part of the seasonal event, you get to interact with some NPCs. This list would be much larger if we actually progress through the main story. I'm sure I'll enjoy that on my main character later on. I guess for now we'll see the head chef, because I'm feeling hungry. Well, well, well. I come to feel Limlane's breath on me face, only to find the faceless Besom whispering in the ear of another. Hold on, you're that adventurer Ayoyo told me about, ain't you? I hear we've got you to thank for the Ryzen display. Aoyu's been singing your praises from Fisherman's Bottom to the Coral Tower. What? Surprised I know her? Limsa's a small place, lass. Hardly a day goes by I don't see a yellow jacket or several in the Bismarck. Whether it's to sup on the finest food and wine this side of the sea, or to clap the irons on those who've tapped the casks a touch too thirstily. Suppose an adventurer like you might have noticed. Always coming and going as you are. But stick around in the city for a while, and you'll see. The jackets ain't just axes for hire. They're true friends of the common folk. Aoyu was a retainer before the calamity struck, you know. Her master had a thing for fireworks. Every time they came back from their wanderings, they'd load her down with an They'd load her down with an hundredweight of spouts and spinners they picked up from God's nowhere. Day and night, you'd see her down in the market ward, beaming that sunny smile of hers at every passerby, trying her damnedest to flog the stuff. Enjoyed the work, I reckon, but then Dalamud fell, and she lost her master. Literally lost him. The way she tells it, it were as if the calamity burned an hole in her memory, and they fell straight through. Couldn't remember their face, nor their name. But she never forgot the fireworks. The amount of gunpowder that went through her hands over the years. She couldn't help learning a bit about making things go bang. An apprenticeship with the cannoneers later, and she was a yellow jacket. So when I heard they were the ones who'd been put in charge of the Ryzen display, I knew she'd be the first to volunteer. The Ryzen, the fireworks, they mean a lot to her. And as a friend, they mean a lot to me. So thank you. We talked to the chef and learned a little bit more about Aoyu. Interesting. Well, we ended up going on for a bit longer than I expected to. I didn't want to end it in the middle of that whole quest line. But now that we've wrapped up, I think now's a good time to take a break.